Officer Bernier.
Okay. Good evening, and welcome to a regularly scheduled meeting of the Waterville City Council. There are agendas available on the table at the rear of the entrance or online on the city's website. A public comment period is listed at the beginning of the agenda and will allow for up to 15 minutes for citizens to speak on a topic that does not appear on tonight's agenda. Speakers do not need to be residents of Waterville and will be allowed 3 minutes to speak. Any in-person attendees wishing to speak during the public comment period are asked to sign up on the sheet located at the entrance. Remote attendees are asked to raise their hand if they wish to speak. Speakers will be alternated between citizens who are attending in person and those attending remotely. All in-person speakers must speak from the podium, provide their name and contact information. If more citizens wish to speak after the allotted 15-minute period has expired, a continuation of the public comment period will be provided at the end of the agenda. Consent agenda items are routine items which are voted on in one motion and vote. Unfinished or new business items are voted on separately. Councilors who have questions or comments on an agenda item may speak after being recognized by the mayor. After all councilors have had the opportunity to speak, questions and comments from the public will follow. Citizens must be recognized by the mayor and will be allowed to speak only once for up to 3 minutes per each agenda item. Okay. That was wordy, but okay. Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Disclosure of conflict of interest. Any councilors have any conflict of interest on any of the votes that they might take tonight? Seeing none. Okay, first order of business tonight is this proclamation. All right. Okay. Whereas the school breakfast program has served our nation admirably since it was permanently established in 1975 and reaches some 14 million children across 91,000 schools and institutions in the United States each day. Whereas the school breakfast program meets the nutritional needs of children, improves food insecurity, and advances child health and the well-being by providing nutritionally balanced breakfast to school children each day. And whereas school-aged children who experience hunger are more likely to be absent from school, visit the school nurse, and experience more challenges than children with a nutritious diet, and skipping breakfast has consistently been linked to worse academic and health outcomes for children. And whereas eating breakfast improves children's overall diets, builds healthy and lifelong eating habits, and enhances their ability to learn and perform academically. And whereas making breakfast a part of the school day, commonly known as breakfast after the bell, offering a breakfast to all students at no cost, are desirable and effective ways to ensure more students realize the benefits of breakfast. And where the federal community eligibility provision offers eligible schools the ability to serve breakfast to all students at no cost, increasing food security and academic outcomes while allowing schools to eliminate the collection of paper applications, reduce administrative costs, streamline meal service operations, and increase reimbursements for schools received from a federal child nutrition program. And whereas 10,889,846 breakfast meals were served in Maine in 2023, reaching 67,686 students, whereas parents, caregivers, teachers, and school food personnel all play an essential role to ensure that the children of Waterville have the basic resources needed to grow, learn, discover their own potential, and live happy, fulfilling lives. And where my administration is helping to expand access to enhance current school breakfast programs and to ensure that our children have the means to succeed. Now, therefore, I, Michael Morris, as mayor of Waterville, on behalf of the City Council and residents of Waterville, do hereby recognize March 4th through March 8th, 2024, as School Breakfast Week. I encourage all residents of Waterville to recognize and commemorate school administrators, food service directors, and cafeteria staff who operate school breakfast programs to ensure that the health and safety and success of our children. Awesome. So yeah, this is I think this is this was a noble thing to kind of lead out as, I guess this is my first proclamation, and you know, again, a lot of kids do go hungry, and sometimes the meals at school are the only meals that they eat, you know, during the day, and you know, starting off a very long school day, having remembered what they were like a long time ago, like this is. You know, this is a great way to start and hopefully keep them focused. Tomorrow, actually, the superintendent and I are serving some breakfasts to students in the classroom at the Hall School. So we're going to take a day and kind of recognize and, you know, have some fun with the kids tomorrow morning as, you know, we serve breakfast to them. So, all right. Moving on. City manager report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, we had a pretty good event here on the 26th with the USDA State Director, Rhiannon Hampson, as we were awarded a $45,000 grant that's going to be used to provide an economic impact study of recreational assets in the city. We'll have that on our agenda this evening, but a good conversation. She gave us lots of great advice on future opportunities and some good press for Waterville. It was in Main Biz, if you didn't see the article, and just a good event all around. So thank you to all those, including Corey Road and Jennifer Kierstead, who participated there in that event. Happy to report our rental registry is now up to 65% for participation. I just want to stress again, this is a voluntary registry, so to get to 65% on a voluntary basis in this amount of time, I think can be considered success. I want to particularly thank Deputy Chief Jason Frost, as well as Crystal Goslin in the Codes Office for their hard work in bringing us these numbers. I know Crystal in particular has been calling landlords and property owners to encourage participation, and that effort has obviously paid off. So thank you, Crystal. Thank you, Jason. I think we should feel pretty good about where we are right now. More room to grow still, but when you compare ourselves to other communities who have done this, even on a mandatory basis, our numbers are very good. So I think success there. Continuing work on grant efforts with city staff. This past week, we had some meetings to discuss applications for an EDA, or Economic Development Administration grant, to fund hopefully a road into the Quarry Road venue. CDS funds for downtown vision projects are also working toward recreational trail program grant applications to talk about trail reconstruction at Pine Ridge. I said community outreach and engagement was going to be a priority of mine to continue that effort. In addition to the city manager's open office hours I've been holding, I'm establishing a business and community leaders advisory group. This is going to be an informal group that will meet quarterly to solicit feedback and get some advice and just general discussion going on current issues or observations they have or things they're experiencing with the city. So again, to encourage collaboration, conversation, and just get feedback on their thoughts of what's going on. In the city, it's going to be made up of local business owners or managers, as well as local nonprofit leaders or managers, and I'll have more information on a roster of names at an upcoming meeting, but excited to get, again, more community participation and feedback and dialogue going. Next city manager's open office hours for the public will be on March 18th, 11 to 12:30. We're going to be at the Muskie Center in the South End. That's 38 Gold Street. Of course, all Waterville residents and local business owners are welcome and encouraged to attend. I'm going to have a table set up there. There'll be some signage, so hope folks will come and find me there for some good discussion at that event. An update on our fiscal year 25 budget. Administration is wrapping up the final touches on the city manager's budget proposal for fiscal year 25. It's going to be submitted per charter to the mayor later this week. We've worked very hard after last year's budget, as you know, which was a bit of a big bite at the apple, to keep increases down as much as possible. Our goal has been to hold the net municipal tax levy to around 5% or not more than 5%. We're going to come in about close to that goal. I think it's very important to continue to make obvious investments into the city, city staff, infrastructure, among a number of other areas. But we also need to be mindful of our hit on the tax rate and to the taxpayers of Waterville. So this budget is going to be mindful of that, but I think still able to make some needed investments in our city. So we'll be having our budget workshops at the council coming up in a matter of weeks. And so just generally reporting that the budget process is on track. It's looking pretty good. We'll be meeting with the schools, with the city finance committee coming up. Then we'll get into our process here with the council. I want to just note that our new city website went live on February 29th. If you haven't already checked it out, please do. Waterville-me.gov looks pretty good. And again, thank you to Sarah Cross in our office as well as the IT department for all of their work in getting this going. Lastly, I just want to another reminder to please enroll in our city mass notification system. Those numbers continue to creep up with enrollment. Really great tool, so please enroll. Waterville-me.myfreealerts.com. Thank you.
Do you know what the enrollment numbers are currently?
Over 400, 4 or 500.
So like 10%.
Continue to plug away at that. I think it's going to take some time, obviously.
Excellent. Thank you, Brian. Okay, council comments or committee reports? Council Finch.
So well, let me just preface this by saying that the Kennebec Water District will be here next meeting to talk more about this and answer questions. But just so everyone is aware, Kennebec Water District will be upgrading the water mains along Pleasant Street, Pleasant Place, Pleasant Court, and Center Street, running from about April through September of this year. And northbound traffic from Western Avenue to Upper Main Street will be detoured, but southbound traffic from Upper Main Street to Western Avenue will continue. So it's going to be one way for those 4 months. The sidewalks will remain open on both sides of the street. And again, the Kennebec Water District will be here next meeting to present the plan and answer questions. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other councilor comments? Yes.
I just wanted to mention that the Housing Committee is working very hard on 2 projects meant to increase housing opportunities in Waterville. One is the possibility of a land bank in Waterville, and the other is a revolving loan fund. And we'll be talking about revolving loan fund proposal next Wednesday at our meeting at 4 o'clock. And you can sign up to get a link or attend in person if you're interested. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councilors, any comments or committee updates? Okay, moving on to public comment. This is the section of the agenda for citizens to speak on a topic that's not on the agenda. Citizens who would like to speak are asked to approach the podium and identify themselves and limit their comments to 3 minutes. Is there anyone who wished to speak tonight? Go ahead. Sorry. Yeah. I'll give you a little, we're going to run this 3 minutes here. I'll give you 30 seconds. I'll give you kind of a heads up that we're coming out of time, okay? Just so you
Okay.
know.
All right, so I will. Yep.
Not having a medical
Brad?
emergency.
Yes, so I'm Jim Accurso. I'm a public affairs specialist with the Small Business Administration, and we are here in Maine following the storms that hit here in Kennebec and the surrounding counties between the 17th and the 21st of December. We are offering our long-term low-interest loans for businesses, homeowners, renters. The deadline to apply for businesses and homeowners and renters for physical damage is April 1st. And we're down at the Farmingdale Fire Department. We were at the Manchester Fire Department, so in Kennebec County, we're down at the Farmingdale Fire Department, 6 days a week. We're also offering the economic injury disaster loans. We encourage anyone with any questions or anyone that had any damage and may have gotten some help from FEMA already, but still come in and see if we can help you out. There's no obligation to take a loan if it's awarded to you. There's no fee to apply. You have up to 2 months to decide. If by chance you are declined, we encourage folks to apply for reconsideration. They have 6 months after that to do that. Some folks may not want to apply for a loan. They think they may not have good enough credit or some other reason, or they may have worked with insurance beforehand, but do come in. We don't disqualify someone because of credit score. And even if you do get some help from insurance or other sources, we can still help you. Again, it takes about 3 to 4 weeks to get your first payout from your loan. You would go down to the center or apply online at disasterloanassistance.sba.gov. And then when you work with a loan officer, they'll let you know what kind of paperwork you need to upload, pictures and the like. But we are here to help Mainers, and we would encourage anyone to look in to see what we have for you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I appreciate the information.
Any questions anybody has? So I handed out packets. We've got all the information there on the packets. I know we put some stuff on the website, and we appreciate that. I'm staying in Augusta myself, so my contact information and email is on my card there. So if anybody has any questions, don't hesitate to give me a holler.
You can have this one.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome. Jim, thank you very much.
Yeah, appreciate the opportunity.
time.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Patty, anybody online?
No, sir.
Okay. Diane?
Hello. I'll make it
evening.
a little smaller and I'll be 5 foot tall. Diane Weinstein, Waterville. I wanted to bring attention an article I saw in the paper today. I believe it was Brunswick had a similar problem with citizen comments that were inappropriate. And so they came up with a bifurcated solution of 30 minutes before their, initially at the beginning of their meeting and 30 minutes at the end of their meeting. And I know that you've already passed sort of new regulations where you have come to a very restricted 15 minutes at the beginning. And if you don't meet that 15-minute threshold with citizen comments, then you do not have comments at the end. Again, I'm going to express, I think that's sad. I think you have a more restricted policy than what you really need, and I wish you might reconsider it. I know that you have very few people that make comments, and that's the reason why I think to restrict it seems unnecessary, particularly should there be a moment when something happens and there might be a disaster such as a flood or something, and maybe you do have 10, 12 people that want to speak from the heart. The other issue, or not an issue, but something positive as well, is I'm part of the Waterville Community Land Trust. And last year we had our first, what I believe will be our annual bird walk. We opened it to the community. We had Ian Lynch from the congregation, or I think it's from one of our local churches. I don't want to misname the church. And he did an excellent job. He and some other folks may lead this walk again. Our date for that walk is May 11th. We'll have announcements. We hope to get something in the newspaper. We'll have refreshments at the Lashes Park, which the Community Land Trust developed. And we also are going to have a nice cleanup at the park, and we planted something like 800 tulip bulbs, so it should be fantastic. So please come see the park on 226 Water Street, and I hope you can attend a very wonderful bird walk along Water Street, our park, all the way to the confluence. So thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone online, Patty? No? Okay. Nancy?
Hi, I'm Nancy Sanford, Ward 1, and I just wanted to express my gratitude and thank you for passing the guaranteeing the remote participation. I'm very glad that that is the case. And Brandon, I just wanted to thank you for your responsiveness, whether I email you or call you regarding whatever topic. So thank you.
Anyone online, Patty?
No, sir.
Anyone else here in the room? Okay. All right, moving on to consent agenda. Can I get a motion for the passage of consent agenda?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Vote?
All in favor? It's unanimous.
All right, moving on to old business, Order 43, 2024.
Motion to read by title only?
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor? Order 43-2024, accept 2023 Justice Assistance Grant.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on this? This is, all right, moving on. Can I get a roll call, Patty? Or a vote?
Is that a resolution? Order.
It's an order.
That requires a roll call.
Yeah.
Counselor Gilly?
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito?
Yes.
Counselor Klepak?
Yes.
Counselor Green?
Yes.
Counselor Finch?
Yes.
Counselor McCormick?
Yes.
The vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Okay, moving on to Order 44, 2024.
Approve hangar lease with Fred Oriloa.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay. Patty, can I get a roll call?
Yes. Counselor Gilly?
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito?
Yes.
Counselor Klepak?
Yes.
Counselor Green?
Yes.
Counselor Finch?
Yes.
Counselor McCormick?
Yes.
Vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to Order 46, 2024.
Is there a motion?
Yeah, move to adopt. You going to read the title?
We need the title.
Oh, did I forget that?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Accept the USDA grant for economic impact analysis of recreational assets.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Thank you.
Discussion. Seeing none, roll call?
Counselor Gilly?
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito?
Yes.
Counselor Klepak?
Yes.
Counselor Green?
Yes.
Counselor Finch? Yes. Counselor McCormick?
Yes.
Vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
Okay.
This won't affect the vote in any way, but I do want to thank the Friends of Quarry Road for writing this grant and I think partially matching. It's really going to be a wonderful thing for Waterville, and we appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, where are we at? Order 48, 2024.
Amendment to Order 252-2021.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Patty,
Can we-
can I get a roll call?
Real
Sorry?
quick. And we read the order and everything, and it doesn't say anything about what we're doing, and it's something to help the homeless shelter, just to remind the public.
Oh.
All set, Mayor?
Do you
Well-
want- Well, this was an order that amended the change of use from the $200,000 from the master lease program to be used towards operating costs. Can we get a roll call, Patty?
Yes. Counselor Gilly?
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito?
Yes.
Counselor Klepak?
Yes.
Counselor Green?
Yes.
Counselor Finch?
Yes.
Counselor McCormick?
Yes.
The vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
All right, moving on to ordinance 49, 2024.
Amend the zoning ordinance solar farm regulations.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none. Patty, can I get a roll call, please?
Yes. Counselor Gilly?
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito?
Yes.
Counselor Klepak?
Yes.
Counselor Green?
Yes.
Counselor Finch?
Yes.
Counselor McCormick?
Yes.
The vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed.
All right, moving on to new business. Resolution 53, 2024.
Authorizing a memorandum of understanding, MOU, with Kennebec Sanitary Treatment District, Waterville Sewerage District, and Kennebec Water District.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Brian, you want to kick us off here and kind of let us know what this is and how this kind of came about?
Sure. So there's been discussion of a proposed South End Trail. It involves land crossing the property of the utilities listed here. In order to apply for grant funding, the RTP funding I mentioned earlier, it's the same grant program. This will be necessary. So Nancy Williams is here. She's done most of the legwork on this and has a lot of the background. You have a memo also prepared here. But I don't know if we want to invite up Nancy to give a brief overview and maybe some more detail of the project. Or that's right, we can see Peter here too. And yes. So.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Do you have permission for Peter Garrett to speak?
Of course.
I'm not Nancy, I'm Peter Garrett. I live in Winslow, but I happen to have been the founder of Kennebec Maslonsky Trails. And one of the trails that we have always been hoping to build is that South End Trail. And it seems to be coming to a head right now. I proposed a trail which led all the way down to the Maslonsky coming into the Kennebec. And it didn't get funding, what was it, 5 years ago. But Nancy's picked up on it, and it looks as if it's going to get funded this year, and I'm terribly pleased.
Excellent.
So, yes.
Well, great. Well, thank
Any
you very
other
much.
comments like this?
I'll do that. Like, whatever.
Moosehead to Popham Beach. Let's go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
So Nancy Williams, Park Place in Waterville. Is there a map up? Just to make sure we all know what we're talking about here. The memo of understanding essentially gives the city of Waterville land along the river from the two sewer districts. And it allows for the trail to be built along the river and into the confluence. And Matt sent his engineer out recently and found that we will be able to go into the confluence with a sloped area that will permit ADA compliance. So this, we're hoping to have an ADA trail, packed gravel about 6 feet wide. And this particular part of the trail will be from the picnic and river access parking lot, go under the bridge, and then hit the city confluence and go inside of it. And so all
You're
of
not
this
going to be able
land,
to, Nancy.
Nancy, they won't be able to hear you.
If you're not at the mic.
Yeah.
There you go. They are
high-tech laser. So the land along the blue part, down below, is the land owned by KSTD, and so that will need to be surveyed out from their parcel. And then they will gift that to the community. And essentially, it's the land where, if you're familiar with their chain link fence, it will be from the chain link fence, which goes across the road, and then to the high water mark of the Kennebec River. And then the green land further up, there are actually two parcels there, and those were granted, those were sold to WSD in 1996 by two parcels, two separate transactions, but they are also going to be gifting that back to the city. So the city will own the land all the way to the confluence, and all the way to the parking lot, up to the picnic area, with the exception of that white area, which is what we call the underground house. And that I don't know exactly the history of that parcel, but I believe all of that land was owned by the Poulins. There are two Poulin brothers, I believe, who sold it to the city a long time ago. And it was all part of, just a little history, it was all part of the Brown Farm originally. which included the land that the Waterville Community Land Trust also owns further up. So it was a big area that the city purchased at one time. Yeah.
Who owns that house now?
Who owns the house
The
now?
underground house, I don't know.
Yeah, it's privately held.
It's privately held.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's it.
Wonderful.
That blue area you're talking about, how much space is in there? Because I'm looking on the other maps for the sewer districts, and you're gonna basically be walking on the road?
There is land between the road and the river, and any trail would sort of weave in and out, but you could certainly walk on the dirt road because that would be owned by the city at that point in time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so-
No, I'm been down in there a couple of times. I'm just trying to, I go in there at its worst to see, okay, what's, how much you're gonna have to replace every year, things like that. I don't want nobody to get down in there and get stuck into the river and.
Right,
Wow.
right. It is a 20-foot wide easement at the moment, which is what the city has in that blue area in order to access the confluence, which the city uses at this point. So it's 20 feet plus the bank of the river and some distance between that 20 feet and the high water mark of the Kennebec.
And you plan for part of this trail to go on the island?
Is there the other, Patty, do you have the other?
I do.
That would be wonderful if you could, please. It gives a full trail. And I do want to add, too, that part of this trail goes, there are two parallel tracks to the trail, and part of it does go through the Pine Grove Cemetery. And the Historical Society and many other people are enthused about the idea of having research done on some of the people who are residing there and doing research on their history and then putting plaques up so that people would have a meandering trail through the cemetery and learn a little bit about the history of some of our maybe characters and maybe not so characters. Oh, I can't do that. I'm sorry. Yeah, so the cemetery is there, but we're going up to the island, and we did get we're very grateful for a grant that we received from the city to help Lehman Island have the access improved. It needs a better parking area, it needs some gravel, it needs a place to sit. And so we do intend to have that improvement. And someday we really do hope to have a bridge going across that final crossing that needs to be done in order to have a real trail.
I know the staircase is in there now, and I know that
Yeah.
there's the footbridge at the entrance, and Matt will agree with us that it probably needs to be beefed up so they can get a piece of heavy equipment out there. I'm just saying, I'm not trying to look for the worst of it. I'm just trying to
Oh, there are
visualize
always challenges.
how the challenges are, two, knowing how much of the cleanups out on the island have been the last couple of years with the South End doing the pickup. I look forward to having it. I just,
Our general hope is that the more people who use things, in a way, better they become. So, yeah, and the South End, of course, will continue, as we will, to continue to monitor the area and try to keep it as trash-free as possible. And then eventually the trail will go to Green Street Park, which is sort of the beginning point within the South End for the trail system. But then it will also, of course, it can certainly continue on to the rivers, the city's Riverwalk further up. Yeah, all the way up there. Yeah, but Green Street Park, it seems to me, from the point of view of economic development, is a real opportunity waiting to happen. If we get an active trail there and we get people who want to go there, we already have picnic tables. We have a wonderful business that's already there, too, actually. And it would be nice to see if the city really focused on that area for other small businesses that could cater to this type of recreational business. So.
Awesome.
Something that we've been talking about for a long time and would love to see. Perhaps there'll be some grants that could help us do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and have a real outdoor pavilion. It's really nice. Yeah.
Councilor Keepeck, you have a question?
Yeah, thank you. I moved to Waterville in 2012. I've lived here for 12 years, and when I first moved here, I had two little children, very little. They're taller than me now, but when we first got to Waterville, our initial impulse was to go to the water, to
Right.
to see the natural spaces
Sure.
in Waterville. And we spent a tremendous amount of time in all of these places that you're putting this trail. We've canoed down the Kennebec from Hathaway and up the confluence. We've bushwhacked through a lot of that. We spent countless hours in Pine Grove Cemetery, right along that trail that you have there. My kids, I remember a day when we sat for a picnic and they found a tombstone that had nothing on it except the word thing, Thing. Yeah, it's in there. You can go find it. It's amazing. And they wanted, it was like astounding to them. What thing is in there? It's a really magical part of Waterville that I'm glad that you're opening up for more people to have access to. Another treasure on the trail that I see your trail falls a bit short of. If you take the very end of the trail at the point of the confluence, if you loop it back around, just right, not even that far, just a little bit before that, right in there on that hill, there's an abandoned Studebaker that apparently one of the managers or some worker at the water treatment plant over 100 years ago got drunk and drove it over the hill, and it's stranded in the woods back there.
Is it still there? Have you seen it?
You have to go on a mission to find it. It's
You'll
back
have to
there.
come on and give us a tour of that.
Yeah, it's a cool artifact that's on the hill there. Anyways, an actual question that I have for you is, any of the infrastructure that you're proposing, how are you designing it in a way so that it will be resilient in the face of floods? Because all of this is going to be inundated, and certainly like the island and
The
most
island
years is
regularly
underwater.
flooded, yeah. Which is a good thing, because actually it keeps it open.
Of
Right.
course, yeah.
It's very pretty. It's very beautiful, actually, the silver maple. And the floodplains are quite unusual. I think people should know that, too, that the silver maple floodplains are actually unique habitats. Yes, we are looking at hiring a real trail planner.
Mm-hmm.
And the two that we have had contacts with have both said, you have to be careful of erosion control, et cetera. We don't think it really normally floods, particularly with the velocity. If it inundates at all, it's probably a smoother run than a real floodplain velocity. So, yeah, but we'll be aware of the fact that could lose some gravel sometime. It's possible. But the last storm that flooded the parking lot at Hathaway did not come up to this area. So that was good. Yeah, Matt, do you have any thoughts on that?
As far as, well, the erosion control, right, we're
Yeah.
pretty sensitive of that now with all of our trails.
Yeah.
So, our engineers are super handy at advising on that as well. And you're right, not being in the floodplain, it won't get the velocity, it won't get blown out. We need to be careful about features that we put in there, benches and things like that. I think they'll be seasonal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And in the beige area that we see there, there's if you drive in back there, there's that sort of kind of a boneyard or a compost dump or whatever that is for the sewage, and then it's a pretty steep drop off. Where is that bluff in relation to this?
At this point in time, we're not getting near that area.
Uh-huh.
Because it's still being used.
And that's up in the sort of
That's up higher.
lavender area, or yeah.
No, that's up higher onto that same parcel.
Yeah, so you're on the downward part of that slope.
We're just on the floodplain wetland, the old gravel pit area.
Yeah.
At this point in time.
Yeah.
Which is actually a wonderful resource, because I've never seen so many wildflowers as in that location. So that's another thing that we can be highlighting on this trail. But, someday we want to get up there.
Right.
So, and we'll see, that's just a matter of working out a lot of details from the city's point of view. But clearly, it's a beautiful location for a park.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So just real quick on the business side, if we're able to get this MOU through, we'll be applying for an RTP, which is great, but it's very competitive too.
Right.
So it's due in June, and we have two projects that we'll be partnering on. Pine Ridge is one of them, the rehabilitation of the trails at Pine Ridge, and the South End Trail. Maximum award is $120,000, which is great. So we're very optimistic. We met with Doug Beck, who manages the program. He seems to like our projects, and it's always good to communicate with him directly. So he came up, or no, it was on Zoom. So
Well, he did come up once.
he did come up too, yeah. So we're very optimistic, but there's no guarantee. Yeah.
And it's really nice to be working with the city on this.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Any other?
So Nancy.
Yes, sir.
I met you 10 years ago, and in one of our very first conversations we were having, you said, do you know what would be great if we could get a trail from the confluence all the way up to downtown? And I really commend you for sticking with this over these 10 years. I thought it was a great idea 10 years ago. I think it's amazing that we are inching closer and closer to it now, so thank you for your dedication and
Gotta
your
thank
hard
Peter,
work and
because
all of
without
you.
him, we wouldn't be here either.
Right, thank you, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Peter, you did a great job. I know Nancy wanted to walk over them several times, but great job. So thank you very much for pointing all these things out. I appreciate it. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, can I get a vote?
All in favor?
Wonderful. Okay, moving on to Resolution 54, 2024.
Accept bid award for painting of city streets.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Okay. Any comments, discussion? That's pretty standard forward this year, fair enough. All right, can I get a vote?
All in favor?
Wonderful. Moving on to Resolution 55, 2024.
Waiver of bid process for outdoor recreation economic impact study.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion? So this, Brian, this just to clarify for the folks at home, and maybe some people sit in this room, we just did the JAG, and then this is the, sorry, not the JAG one, but the.
This is the USDA grant.
Correct.
award.
So these are the
Yep.
people that are going to conduct the study?
Yes, this is, will be with Camoin. It's a rather specific study we're looking at. Camoin comes highly recommended. I've used them before in previous communities, and I think we're pretty excited to have some data to move forward with.
Okay. Any discussion or comments? Patty, can I get a vote?
All those in favor? Thank you.
All right. Moving on to Resolution 56, 2024.
Rebranding Waterville Robert Lafleur Municipal Airport.
Okay.
Move to adopt.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? Randy, come on up. Let's talk about this rebranding.
Hello.
Good evening.
So yeah, we're looking to rebrand. I came back to the city to work at the airport in 2011. We've been continuously striving for improvement. We've rebuilt both runways, the taxiway. As you can see here, we have a lot of interest in hangar development. Thanks to the significant support that I've gotten from council and from city administration with our equipment and our people, we've really positioned ourselves very well. So kind of in essence of trying to continue that momentum, recognize Waterville and the fact that we serve the entire region, we have kind of been looking at more of a rebranding, reimaging, what we've accomplished and then just creating a whole new chapter ahead of us. This comes at a time when we're finalizing a 2-year master plan update and completion of a significant amount of projects. I think in the last, well, since 2011, we've done about $13 million worth of federal FAA funding into the airport. So that's where we're at.
Could I just add briefly, although it's being rebranded to the Waterville Regional Airport, we did discuss also retaining the LaFleur name on the building or the terminal to keep that memory alive, so there will be, the name of the building will retain the LaFleur name.
Right, and of course, the terminal building's located on LaFleur Road as well, so.
Excellent. Councilor Quebec?
Presuming this passes, when will we get to see graphics or something like that?
It's in the works currently. I have some drafts, and it will depend on what the FAA will allow us to do. If we can update our identifier, so right now it's WVL, but where we're moving towards the Waterville Regional Airport, we might do WRA. So that might include our image. I'm trying to keep it main themed as well, representative of the city. So we're trying to incorporate all of that.
And with this rebrand, I mean, you talked about your rationale a little bit earlier. Maybe you could just expand a little bit, like specifically what market are you hoping that this branding captures, or what larger vision? Like, where do you hope the branding will take us?
More of a regional asset. I want to focus on the fact that we're Waterville. We've got a lot to offer, but we're offering a regional facility, and I just think focusing in on that and making it a simple name as well can avoid some confusion for some folks.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Yes.
I'm just curious if there are any descendants of Captain LaFleur in Waterville, or any attempt to contact the family at all?
Several years ago, I was in contact with, I believe it was a nephew of him, and he provided us the Purple Heart and certificate of the Purple Heart, and we actually have a beautiful plaque that the frame makers made with his picture and all of that encompassed right as you walk in the lobby. But I haven't heard from anybody in quite some time.
Okay. Well, I think it's great to keep that piece of history alive and honor that that memory. But yeah, it makes sense to focus on the regional aspect of the airport.
Excellent. All right. Anyone else? Anyone in the public? Anyone online, Patty? No. Fair enough. Can I get a vote?
All those in favor?
Thank you. All right. Moving on to Resolution 57, 2024.
Approved transfer of solar reserve funding hangar development project.
Move to adopt?
Second.
Okay. All right, Randy, you want to kind of give us a little synopsis of what we're doing here?
Well, in a nutshell, we need to put the infrastructure in place that will include the pavement, a taxi lane for the additional hangars that are being proposed. I would not be surprised if sooner than later I come back and do this again. I'm treading water with trying to keep up with the demand of what I'm being asked. So there's a lot of interest.
In a lot of the stuff that you guys, I know when Quinn and I were up there, we took the tour and all the things that that you guys do. Is this something that you are farming out, or are you kind of are you guys going to do this in-house, or what type of, is this like a gravel kind of thing, like a really compressed gravel, or are we really like hot top, kind of thing?
It will be a hot top, so we will have to go to bid
Yeah.
for those. I have gotten some ballpark figures, so I anticipate, paving will be 20,000, electrical will be about 10, and the groundwork will be about 20. So that's where the 50 came from. We'll be partnering, we'll be doing some of the stuff in-house, as much as we can, with the resources that we have available. But there will be other things that we'll use local contractors for.
Yeah. Well, you just made the mention of, hey, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, if you have a crew that comes out there to get a bid for all of it, like, versus doing this piece now and then coming back
Right.
in 2 months to do the other piece, it's a better deal or better price to do one lot while they're right up there. I know that's what we try to do in the city with paving. We try to pave in the one area, so they just have to disperse, so I don't know if that's,
Yeah, we did to a degree on a smaller level. So having worked with all of the different hangar owners that are proposed, and worked with the contractors that I've used in the past, we're trying to get everybody on the same page so that it can all be done in one shot. So all of the private, 20, 25-foot paving lanes to the hangars will be done at the same time at their cost under their own contracts. So we're trying to, on a smaller scale, get all of that done in one shot. But as you said, yes, there's very likely that second row. I just don't want to put my cart in front of the horse. I anticipate that will happen, but I don't want to spend the money right up front
Yeah.
and it be another year or two, because we have other projects. It's going to be a busy summer for us.
Yeah. Good. Any other questions, comments? Okay, we can, let's, give me a second. Okay. Patty, can I get a vote, please?
All in favor?
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion
So moved. Good.
to take agenda items out of order. I'd like to move orders 60 through 64 up because they relate to the airport. So let's
I'll
just,
second the motion.
let's just get it done now while he's sitting here.
All in favor of the motion? Any opposed?
Okay, so doing that, we have what, five of these?
5 of them.
All right, we'll just start with these. There's little things in each one that's probably a little bit different that you want to call out, and great. Let's start with Order 60-2024.
Approve hangar land lease with Dillon
No, roll.
Colts.
Oh, yeah.
North Ramp Lot 2.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Anything?
So this hangar will be located between the blue hangar that says Telford on the back, up on the north end of our airfield, and TJ's. There's a lot that the F-89, some of you may remember, used to sit on. This individual would like to stump and fill that area in and build a hangar directly next to the blue hangar. And that is a slightly larger hangar than the traditional footprint for what we would see on the taxi lanes, such as the remaining items, taxi lane F hangars.
Okay.
Is this pictured on the map that is provided?
It's on one of the exhibits. It's not on the exhibit with all of the taxi lanes, but it is on an exhibit which would show the north ramp.
Right.
I think it's
Okay.
57, 2024. The hangar development area map shows them all, I think.
Okay, I know that, I did see the other map, I was just trying to put them together, but.
Yeah.
And you said this one is larger?
Slightly larger, yeah. So
Okay.
this one, I believe, is going to be a 60 by 80. And the other hangars are going to be more of the traditional 40 some odd foot by 40 some odd foot.
Okay. And just remind me, are they all the same, do they all have the same rental?
So the lot sizes are roughly the same, give or take a little bit. With the way that the taxi lanes are set up down on taxiway D, where all these other hangars are going to go, they're spaced out more. There is only one space available on city or airport-owned property up on Lot 2 in that area. So he's actually going to have a fairly significant expense to fill that area in, because otherwise it was just going to remain a vacant lot.
All right. Any other?
Are these, just, this is the same question for all 5 of these. Are these all the same 5-year term? Are any of them different lease?
Moosley Hangers, the language is slightly different, as the bank that is doing the loans for those needed specific language. And that, for Moosley Hangers, we've done that for the other 2 hangars that they have. So it's all the same period of time, it's just worded different.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
All right. Patty, can I get a roll call?
Only the second reading requires a roll call.
Oh, then
Thank
can I
you.
just get a vote?
So, all in favor?
Huh?
Thank you.
All right, moving on to Order 61, 2024.
Approve hangar land lease with Roland Montgomery, I don't know what that means, FTL LTF Lot 10?
Taxi lane F, lot 10.
Thank you.
Yep. Standard
See,
hangar.
we're so glad you're here, Randy. Thank you.
Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Any discussion? Patty, can I get a vote?
All those in favor?
Do you have a question?
Thank you.
It's okay. I'll ask it next time.
Okay, we got 4 more of these. Order 6, I'm sorry, we good?
Yes.
Thank you. Order 62, 2024.
Approve hangar land lease with Harvey Morrow.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Questions?
So it's not really a question, but just a confirmation that these are all lots off the runway that is being created, is that right? These are all new
With the exception of the
hangars?
one that's on the north end, these 4 will be on
Right.
the one that we're going to be
Right.
building, yes.
Okay. Okay, so these are all new hangars?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Any other comments, questions? Can I get a vote?
All those in favor?
Moving on to Order 63, 2024.
Approve hangar land lease with Moosley Hangars.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, discussion? Patty, can I get a vote?
All those in favor?
All right, moving on to Order 64, 2024.
Approve hangar land lease with Moosley Hangars LLC.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any comments,
I
questions?
just have a quick
Yes.
question. So these 2 are adjacent to each other, and this is just still these are going to be separate hangars. It's not going to be one joined large hangar, correct? Okay.
Yes.
And this is a hangar company, right?
Yeah, more or less. So Ray Pilot and his wife, aviation enthusiasts, they saw demand, and they're making the investment. And so, for example, they just finished a hangar about 2 weeks ago, and code enforcement came and inspected it. It's beautifully built. State Police is now housed in one of their hangars.
Okay, so I'm just wondering then, who would, are they leasing it out to someone? And that will be their decision?
Right.
Yeah,
Yep. So we lease the land to them. They sublet the building that they built
Right.
to a tenant, and that can change yearly. But a lot of times they end up doing long-term leases.
So presumably a tenant that doesn't want to build a hangar themselves.
Right.
Okay. Got it.
Excellent. Any other questions, comments? Patty, can I get a vote?
All those in favor?
All right, thank you very much. I think that's all of them, right?
Yeah.
That was all of them.
Perfect.
Just of note.
Of note.
Since 2009, prior to, there wasn't any hangars built for quite a long time. And then we had one built, and then there was a long lull in between. And then in the last, between this current year and what's going to be happening, we'll see 9 built. So it's going to nearly double what we've had. So I think that's a testament to the support of what we've been given at the airport to really bring it to where it's at. It's really generated a lot of interest. So thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah, sell some gas.
Yes, sir.
You're good.
Yeah.
Get out of here, man.
Thank you, Randall.
All right, so now moving back to Order 59, 2024.
I think we're at 58.
No, 58. We're on
50,
F.
oh, sorry.
That's okay.
58,
2024.
Yes.
Establishing hours for voter registration for the April 2nd, 2024 special municipal election.
Correct. We had so much fun yesterday, we decided to do it again.
Is there a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion? Want to call what this, want to just say what this is real quick, Patty? This is for,
We're required by state statute to establish voter registration hours. We're required to be open 2 evenings a week in the preceding week to an election.
Yeah.
We really don't need additional hours for a
Sure.
special election, so we're waiving that.
perfect.
Is there any?
The Ward 5 special.
Yeah,
Ward
and that's all that's on the second.
Just Ward
That's
5.
correct.
Yeah,
And that'll be right here. in
That'll
this
be here
building.
in this building,
Yeah.
correct?
yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay, can I get a vote?
All those in favor?
How many people from Ward 5 turned out yesterday?
I don't break it out by ward.
Not more than 1,100.
Right. I wonder how many
Yeah.
the candidate got then. I guess that would tell you, right?
He's not on it. There's no,
Well, there was a Democratic caucus for, or no, primary for it. Isn't that-
Primary.
Yeah,
No primary.
presidential, Jim?
but Ward 5 didn't have,
Because that's the second, or, yeah, we're doing that the
I
second.
got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got
That
zero, you
election.
got 0 votes yesterday.
Got you. I'm sorry, I'm not in Ward 5. I don't know.
So, all right. Unless I missed anything else, we are now moving to Order 59, 2024.
That's it.
Approve use of ARPA funds to support Waterville Area Soup Kitchen.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Second. Okay. So I think to kick this off, you want to, Carla, do you want to come up and, please, thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Carla. I'm the president of the Board of Directors for Waterville Area Soup Kitchen. Thank you for your time and consideration. I think I want to just key on 2 points. At the beginning of the winter, we had a concern for our unhoused population not having a place to be during the day. We expanded our hours from 8 to 5. I believe we've met and exceeded what was needed for our community. We've provided a warm space for them, a welcoming space for them. We've also increased our community involvement as far as other social service agencies coming in to provide support. We have 3 programs scheduled for April, one being Maine General Harm Reduction. They're coming in to do a 2-hour presentation to include coffee and donuts for our guests. But that'll be an open discussion on how are we meeting the needs of our community, where are we missing the mark on that, and discussion with our community on how we might be able to do a better job with that. The other is a another program through Maine General SNAP program, in which they'll come in and do a nutrition program twice. The first on March 27th, the second one, I believe, on April 17th. And that'll be done by Samantha Grenier. She represents Maine General in that program. The other is a ongoing art workshop that was presented by Peter Brunn. He came in and worked with a number of our guests, trying to get them to express what the soup kitchen has meant for them as the greater community, and it was received very well. I think we had at least 4 or 5 participants that consistently came for 4 weeks. And that's been ongoing, even after Peter was not able to. He had another colleague that was able to come in and step in. We've also had, over the last month, 3 to 4 individuals that participated in the Operation Hope program with Officer Rob Boulay. The presence of Rob, Officer Boulay, and Todd Stevens, and Don from Options, Don Kearns from Options, has actually encouraged our community to take advantage of the resources that we're offering in our space. So we are likely not going to close the center on May 1st. I believe that we're going to continue as a community resource center and have our space available so that we can continue these social service resource agencies to come in and help our community. We have career services that is coming in on Wednesdays right now, and they've had an overwhelming response to coming in and getting people signed up. We've had case management, getting more people signed up than I've ever seen since we've been a soup kitchen. And we'll be going on 2 years on May 2nd. We have paramedicine that have been coming in to see some of our guests to help deal with some infections that they're dealing with. And we have family planning with a new mobile unit that she's talking about coming in to offer HIV testing and other lab work and female reproductive care as well through their mobile unit. So collaboration with our community has been outstanding, and I can't speak enough about what having this center, the Waterville Area Soup Kitchen, but it's a community resource center, and what that's been for our city. The other reason for asking for additional ARPA funds is for capacity building. We've had 3 ongoing fundraising. We did a jar campaign in which the month of November, I believe, we had jars in the businesses in the Waterville area, and we raised about $2,000 with that. We've had an ongoing rental program, which that began in 2024. We've raised about $25,000 with that, and our recent $100 club has brought in about $30,000. So we are very active in propelling our mission forward for the city and for our community and those most vulnerable members of our community. And I think if we could get these funds approved, we'd like to maybe procure somebody to help us with grant writing. And that is, of course, an additional expense. I've asked Dean to join me as well so that we can give a little bit of data points on, what our costs are. Operationally, our costs for food was around $7,000, $8,000. Our administrative costs are around $850. So administrative costs, it's our food and our operational costs that are truly what has kept us, I believe, trying to always keep moving and raising funds. The grants that we have procured are for building capacity. So we've, been able to grow our kitchen capacity to, cook for 300 to 500 meals. So that is for equipment, but not necessarily operational costs. So I might invite Dean up, if you don't mind, to come up and offer us some totals, revenues and costs.
Good evening. My name is Dean. I'm a board member of the Waterville Area Soup Kitchen. I also cook 2 days a week, and I'm the numbers guy, or one of them. I'm a retired engineer, so numbers are my thing. I can talk for hours, so if you can point me in the direction you'd like. I also used to teach at KVCC, and they claimed I didn't breathe. So I can talk. Our meal numbers, just real quick, are running between 5,000 and 5,200 meals a month. Let me pull up one sheet here. Last week, as the Lighthouse, we surpassed 80,000 meals served. One piece that does not include, and we've started tracking it, are leftover meals. Today, for example, we served 300 meals. Did you count the last four?
Yes, I did.
304 meals. But we also handed out some of the leftovers from yesterday, which we had not been counting in the past. We were only counting meals that we served, and we hadn't been counting breakfast. Breakfast is I guess you'd call it continental breakfast. It's cereal, oatmeal, pastries that are mostly donated, coffee, juice, milk, those sorts of things. They run about 30 a day. When we open at 8, people come in and get the coffee. It's a nice, quiet place. As far as our expenses, just real quick, our program cost is about 60% of our budget. That's food, takeout containers, coffee, those sorts of things. It's what we need, sandwich bags, things we need to make our program work. The building itself is about between 30 and 35% of our cost. We have a triple net. Our rent is really good, but so is everything else we pay. Still a great location. It's still below market. There's no complaints there. Our landlord is excellent. And our administrative cost for the last 6 months, or actually pretty close to the last 8 months, is 8% of our budget. And that is almost all newsletters, mailers. We have no paid staff. So it's stamps. I just bought a roll today. Whew. Yeah, they don't go down. So if you have some specific questions, also real quick, we look at our revenues. We get about 35% last year from individuals, about 28% from foundations, civics groups and schools, about 20%, businesses about 9%, and then income from Facebook and websites, which I guess kind of could go to individuals, is around 8%. And as Carla mentioned, we're out there with our $100 club. We're very aggressive with that and very ambitious. We may not get there, but if we don't strive, we're not going to even make it. I just got to say Bruce White has just beaten the bushes out there to help us out, and he's been able to get, I think, 80 or 90 matches for the $100 for people. So it's been a real successful program. We're playing catch up, funding-wise. Our food costs took off on us a year and a half ago. When Good Shepherd, I don't know their politics or the details, but their food costs more than doubled for us. And they've been great to work with. I've got no complaints. So it's, and our meal, like I said, today, over 300 meals. Today, we had a little bit of leftovers. Let's see, over 6 months, we're running about 240 meals a day. And that doesn't include the 30 breakfasts and another. It varies how much is left over. Today we had a fair amount left over because I cooked a lot, but I try to cook about 300 meals. So it's usually between 300 and 320 meals. And most of them are gone. I think 2 weeks ago we hit 348. And there wasn't anything left in the kitchen. So if there are specific numbers questions, I can try. I don't have every single number, but.
Thank you. I don't have a specific number question, but more of a general number question. I think it's pretty clear that as a primary source of dignity for people in Waterville that are in unfortunate circumstances, as a source of nourishment, as a source of community, as a source of healthcare, entryway into the healthcare system, as a source of female reproductive care. It's pretty hard to beat bang for the buck what you're doing. I think that's pretty clear. And I think it would be hard for anyone on this council to, I'm sure you can go through all those numbers. I think it would be hard for anyone on this council to accuse you of ever being wasteful in any way and not using whatever resources you are for the best possible outcome that your minds and bodies can manage. When I think about this, the ARPA funds, the question is, how do we use that money to help you continue that, to get that same efficiency out of that money, right? Because that's all you think about is how to be efficient. Sitting there going through, figuring out how many meals, how can I get, this many bodies fed for this amount, right? And I'm thinking about that in the same way too. This money that we have, it's one chance. Mm-hmm. We have one chance here at this money. And so, we talked about grant writing. And you talk about capacity, and there's a couple different ways, capacity, but I think of sustainability. What can we do with this money that doesn't have you back here in 8 months, 6 months, with the same problem, with the same shortfall, and we're in a worse place because we don't have the resources that we have now.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry.
No, please go on.
Give it a shot.
You get my drift, right?
Yes, I do, and I absolutely understand it. I understand the challenges, and we understand this is a one bite at the apple. This helps us bridge this increase in demand along with the increase in cost while we catch up with grant writing. And again, the unicorn of all grants is operational funds. There are some, and we're going at them. We're going at them hard. We're a little bit behind the curve because this all happened in 6 months or so, that all of a sudden we're up to 250 meals a day. This summer was even more challenging, and I suspect it's coming there. The Catalyst grant from Kennebec Savings is great. Got me a new stove. I burned the hair off my arm today reaching over the top of it. It's got a lot of BTUs. That helps with our capacity. But like I said, we are a little behind on trying to get fundraising. We went from a little less than $80,000 a year, a little over a year ago, to almost $200 now to cover the increased cost. We have the $100 club we're working on. We have the jar campaign. We have our rent program is still continuing. This helps us bridge that gap while we come up to speed, which I believe we're doing now. We're getting close, and that we continue to drive toward reaching our $180,000, $200,000 budget. So that totally understand, it's one bite, and it's a tough decision for you folks. There's a whole lot of people looking for funds. And this is gonna bridge our gap for 4 to 5 months while we come up to speed. Right now we have 4 or 5 grants in the pipeline, 5 grants in the pipeline, but they're once a year. And again, they're capacity building. They want us to put in a freezer, which I'm not complaining because I need a new walk-in freezer because the one we've got stuffed full. We're utilizing, and you're right, we do utilize the community, the Winslow Community Cupboard every week. Most of our produce is fresh. Today, we provided shepherd's pie. The biggest cost was our protein, which comes from Good Shepherd. Fresh potatoes, fresh carrots. We use as much fresh as we can. We utilize Hannaford. We get hundreds and hundreds of pounds from Hannaford, which is right at the end of its use. So we have a lot of fruit salad that same day, because if we don't use it that day, it's not good the next. To answer your question, and I warned you, I can talk. I'll try to shorten it back up. It's a bridge.
So what you're asking for then is time. You're asking for
Yes,
time from us.
absolutely.
And other than that, the money that we're giving you is, or may give you, is not going to specifically directly enable the grant writing process, other than giving more roadway for that process. Is that, like, so I want to know what, in the process of getting these grants over the finish line, beyond the time that you need to stay afloat it's like the existential time that you need to stay afloat here, what else is inhibiting that process? So you know what I'm saying? What can facilitate that, the actual formulation of the grants, the submission of the grants, the identification of new grants, whatever that happens to be? What could you have that would make that process more effective and more come to fruition sooner?
Well, and grants are one piece, and grants aren't the end-all. I think if you look at the little pie graph of how nonprofits fundraise the community, and it's our ability to ramp up our $100 club. We're asking the community for $180,000. We're looking for 1,800 grants, or donations. That's aggressive. And it's our ability to reach out, the ability to take advantage of route mailers, to get it out there more. We've had a WABI a couple of times, and each one gives us a boost. So we look for that opportunity, and it is, I think you hit it on the head, it's that time to bring our grant writing a little better up to speed. They're doing a great job, but it's a skill. It's an art. And our ability to reach out to the community responds tremendously to this sort of need. And I think it's difficult. Everybody struggles. I mean, there's few people who aren't hit with the same things we are as an organization. But I'm not quite sure I'm going in the right direction, but grant writing is only one piece of this. I think you hit it with the time to bring our fundraising up to speed over the few months that this gives us. And our intent is to bring it up to speed and to utilize the grants. And again, the grants aren't the end all. I can't remember the number, but communities like 60 or 70% where you need to go for your funds. And we're ramping that up at the same time while running the soup kitchen. Mm-hmm. Like I say, I spend not quite 20 hours a week, but then I'm retired, so that's my job, I guess. But I cook, and I handle the numbers and most of the food ordering.
So you're telling me a story about the massive workload that you have, and I 100% believe it. I know that you are doing a ton. Is that one of the throttle points on the process? Do you need more personnel that are dedicated to getting out your $100 club, getting the word out and recruiting that more? Or do you feel like you have the resources in place to put the plan that you've alluded to?
Yes, short answer. We've got some very good people, very experienced people. We've got more coming on board now, excuse me, which is tremendous. So I'm the one I cook and I do a bunch of other things. The fundraising is less I'm great with ideas and then walk away and let someone else do them. That's always the easy part. I'd rather go cook 8 turkeys I got sitting in the cooler. But I think the resources are there or very close to there. There are people coming on board, which is great. We've got some new grant writing help, a couple of volunteers who have some experience with that, which is tremendous. We're getting boosts from Bruce and from others in the community, and we're learning. We're getting it. This was a big chunk we bit off. Well, we bit off the right chunk at the time. It just got really big. I'm not sure how to answer the question. Yes, I think we have the parts and pieces in place.
I got my question out.
Flavia?
I have a question. My question is yours, the success stories. I'm hearing like 3 people going into the whole program. To me, that's a big deal. Having 3 people that trust you guys, actually, to actually go into that program. Can you talk a little bit on the success? How are you moving the needle where you're helping people go from, I'm not trusting the community to, okay, I want to get help?
It's making a connection with people. When somebody comes into your organization and you greet them by name, by first name, you sit down, you recognize that they might be having a bad day. Over a period of 1.5 years, you build trust by making that connection. And we've done that successfully, not just myself, but I'm surrounded by a team of amazing volunteers. We cannot do what we do without having compassion and empathy for people. And it takes time. It's not overnight. And to sit with someone and see them share their life with you, and it could be a perfect stranger, but they're not treated like perfect strangers at the soup kitchen. We aren't just a soup kitchen. It is so far evolved beyond what we ever thought it would be. To be a soup kitchen and then you expand your hours to 5 o'clock. And we aren't the social service agencies. I'm not a trained counselor. But I'm a person. And I see the person in front of me, and we care very much about them. We care very much about our community. And I think it is our responsibility, when you have the ability to sit with someone, to do that, to see them, to hear them. Doesn't mean you agree with the behaviors. A lot of times I don't, but I still love that person, because where did they learn what they learned? So when you break down those barriers and they open up and they begin to share with you, they begin to trust the people coming in because they know that you care about them. So you're not going to bring somebody in that could essentially hurt them. And we're very mindful of who is coming into our space.
Yeah,
and so they know that. Mm-hmm. They know that.
And what I'm hearing is trauma-informed, really focusing on that and really treating people like with that humanity, that, you're part of a community, and that's what I'm here. So besides the whole programs, so what, do you have any other success stories of how you have helped?
Mental health care. So when I think of transitional housing or a recovery center, I don't just look at our population that suffers with addiction to substances. I see people that have mental health they're not getting the care. They're not getting the continuity. Mm-hmm. And the intention in our community is to do that, to provide that. But it's 24/7, and for 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 15 months, until somebody has the tools that they need to remember who they are, because they've really just forgotten who they are. Mm-hmm. Many of them, the stories I could share it would curl your hair. I just can't even imagine that they just get up every day, and it is an effort to put one foot in front of the other and just wake up and come to the soup kitchen. That is a job for some people. For others, they've lost their hope, they've lost confidence. This was nobody's dream to wake up and be addicted to a substance. That was nobody's dream. They didn't get there by themselves. It is a choice, though, to stay there. And we try to emphasize that and help them to engage. And that's what we're seeing in our space now. They are engaging. At 3 or 4 people in a month's time to go through Operation Hope is amazing. That is something to be said about the programs and the collaboration that we have in this community. I'm telling you, it's outstanding, and I think we're just at the cusp of some major changes. I feel a shift in. I noticed, and this is just a little side, I went on vacation for a week, and when I came back yesterday, it was a very busy day, but I saw a lot of God moments in that moment, because there was just a calmness, and I'd been away for a week, so I wasn't sure what I was coming back to. And there was this sense of calmness. And it is through establishing boundaries, which I personally had a hard time with the first year. I allowed for a lot of poor choices, maybe, and escalation. But it's only through our consequences that we come to a space where we have to reflect and say, can't be all of them. I'm the common denominator. And then we can help them to move forward. But I think that's what's happening in the soup kitchen now. And it's hard to say just soup kitchen because it is a community resource center. And we don't have a community center right now. And I feel that we should offer that to our community and keep the momentum going, and keep it open from 8 to 5. Because I think I see a big change in our population. So.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, actually, I just have one last question, sorry. So, so maybe you touched on it, but I guess it's really focusing on the difference of from 12 to 5. Like, what is that like? Like, how is that a difference? What difference does that make? Just having that extended hours?
We have 10 to 15 individuals that are unhoused. If they did not have the soup kitchen with some of the programs that are being offered, like Career Center, we're going to have maybe some addiction recovery services coming in, AA, or Accelerate Recovery, or a model around that. We'd like to have maybe some literacy program brought in. And we are seeing them stay around the soup kitchen, whereas before they would be in our community. They would be down at the concourse. They would be at the Elm Plaza. They would be down to Home Depot, and they are in moments. But I think what they're learning are coping skills, and the consequences that they are experiencing through some of the choices that they're making are helping them to realize that maybe they're not making the best choices, and the consequences of having 2 weeks off. We would never withhold food, but that is something that we do. You have 2 weeks off from the dining room, but you can come and get a breakfast, and you can come and get a lunch and a dinner. We would never withhold food, but you can't stay in a space where you make others feel unsafe. It is our focus to make sure that people feel safe there. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. And it really, for me, it helps me understand that doing that direct service and really helping people where they're comfortable at really makes a difference. It builds that trust. It builds that that understanding of what this individual went through and that listening skills and really getting to know that person. So thank you for what you do.
They feel seen and heard. And they're not going to come here. They're not going to go to City Hall. It's not a comfortable place. I had somebody mention to me one day, if we opened it as a community center, that we wouldn't be able to have people sleep, fall asleep or put their head on the table and have a nap. And, and because they don't do that at the Art Center, and that, if we were going to have people come from the Art Center to the Community Resource Center, we wouldn't be able to allow people to do that. And I don't agree with that. Our community doesn't feel comfortable going to the Art Center. We need to kind of bridge that. And so I want them to be able to come in and have a nap.
Yeah,
Many of them don't get a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
And so they come in and they put their head down and they feel safe and they fall asleep. It's when you're sitting observing and watching, which I do a lot of, and you see someone sleeping at a table in your establishment, I actually feel they feel pretty comfortable to be able to do that, given the circumstances that many of them been through, so. Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Any other questions?
So I have two concerns. First of all, I feel like I'm going to be the bad guy here, but I respect the work that you do, but I do have two concerns. And the first one is that the use of the money as written is for fundraising and expanded efforts. You know, it does say secure operating costs, but it is essentially unrestricted funds. And when we originally went through the ARPA process, the understanding was people couldn't just apply for unrestricted funds. It had to be a specific plan. It couldn't be operating costs. It had to be, you know, a long-term impact thing. And that kind of brings me to my second concern, which is of equity. We did have this entire ARPA process. We've had a lot of applicants, you know, who applied, who are doing community work, who did get money. You know, and kind of we really need a plan for council to do due diligence with these remaining funds, instead of this first come, first served basis for handing out what are large chunks of this money, this one-time use money that's never going to be replenished. My concern here, without the council taking a step back and coming up with a solidified plan for these remaining funds, is that next week Starfish Village is going to come and they're going to ask us for $50,000. And then the Winslow Community Cupboard is going to come and ask for $50,000. And then the Waterville Food Bank is going to come and ask for $50,000. And then another community partner is going to ask for $50,000. And we have this revolving loan fund that's going to be proposed to us essentially, or eventually. And what do we do with that money? And I appreciate the work, you know, that you are doing, but my concern is with this ARPA, with this one-time use, that we really need to be fair to the entire community. Unless we are, as a council, prepared to hand out $50,000 16 times to the next 16 people who show up and ask for it.
I think one statement that I'm going to make is that the opera fund was a temporary fund that was released by the federal government to help people during COVID. It was supposed to be temporarily to help temporary relief people that are struggling. So right now, food may be it, you know? But I do agree that these funds should be spent on the people that were impacted by COVID.
So I want to say a couple things, and I do think it's important to separate the work that's happening at the soup kitchen, which is extraordinary, from the process that we've gone through. And I agree with Councilor Finch that we have to be fair, and we have to be clear and transparent to the community about what we're doing with these funds. For a long time, we've talked about these housing projects. From the beginning, we said we want to help people with emergency needs right away, and we also want to have something that's going to make those funds last beyond the period, right? So I think this is the challenge for the council at this period in time, really, is making these tough choices. And we did have a process. I have to say that I'm not sure we got it right, because $10,000 doesn't actually go very far. So I do think that we need to pursue housing projects. That is a need that's been identified by the committee, by the council. You know, everyone knows that it's a need for people impacted by COVID. But I also see the soup kitchen as a critical piece of responding to our homeless homelessness crisis and frankly, our drug epidemic. And what you're doing is working. And personally, I think this is an exceptional organization where I would like to make a substantial, I would like to enable you to be sustainable, or at least to raise your capacity. And I'm talking about your ability to continue raising money, because you have a couple of things going for you. One is people keep coming back day after day. You've got that population, you've earned their trust, and people, service providers are coming to you. You also have a community that really wants to donate. But I agree with Dean, it's not about grants alone, it is a combination. Typically, it's about 60 to 65% individual donations, about 25% grants. And so as great as the efforts have all been, I think having some fundraising expertise to help you sustain a development program would be that capacity building element that we're looking at. So I would like to see that maybe be a 50-50 split between money towards your capacity to raise money and then the operating funds that would bridge. But then I think we really do need to take a very close look at what we're going to do with the rest of the funds and how they would most impact our community.
Tom?
I guess mine is, I'm going to join Rian so he won't be alone as the bad guy. You say in the last 6 months, you've had an increase in need. Is this, and you want this to be a bridge, what's the load limit on this bridge? In 6 months, is it going to be your need double again? Is it at a crest? Is it?
Well, with our consistent fundraising and the assistance perhaps of a professional that could help us with that, I don't foresee that, and we understand that this is a one-time deal. We're not going anywhere. We're not going anywhere.
I think
we will fight hard to stay where we are because we are.
I guess my concern somewhat is you're handing out 230, 250 meals a day. What's not to say in 6 months, because we have surrounding communities that come here looking for the help, that number doesn't turn to 500.
We're ready.
No, I'm just.
No, I'm serious. The Catalyst grant.
Dean, I'm
To the
sorry,
microphone.
they won't be able to hear you at home.
I'm back.
Sorry.
The Catalyst grant was year one. It's a 3-year grant. I suspect most of you are familiar with it. We got $15,000. We bought a stove. I got 6 new burners that are very aggressive, like I said. I tend to cook 300 to 350 meals a day. I can do 5 now. I can peel almost 200 pounds of potatoes with the nice little gadget we bought. We have commercial food processors. We're looking at a grant from Good Shepherd to get us a second freezer, walk-in freezer. I would have no problems now making 500 meals.
But my concern is I don't want you to have to. I want the other communities to take care of theirs, not us have to take on the extra burden. Okay, I want to see your plateau start to drop. But that's, I don't foresee
Ideally,
that.
yes.
Okay, but what I anticipate is you had an increase. And as word gets out, it's going to continue to do this. And at some point, we're not going to be able to sustain that. Or you're not going to be able to sustain that.
I don't anticipate that, only because most of our guests' mode of transportation is walking or the bus. In fact, we find, today we had 300, it was a beautiful day. If we have a cold, poor weather day, rainy, snowy, we may have less than 200. In the summer, we're up another 20 or 30 a day. I don't anticipate folks from the outer communities that we serve at the soup kitchen to be able to get to the soup kitchen very well. The bus has been helping a little bit with getting folks to certain appointments as kind of a central location to pick folks up. But I see it weather dependent, so that if the weather's not bad, they can walk and join us. If the weather's poor, they decide to eat what they've got at home rather than come and visit us just to get it to us. I would not be surprised to see our numbers tick up some in the summer. And again, I'm just from my observations it's weather dependent, and I don't anticipate folks from the surrounding communities being able to get to us very well. We serve mostly folks that can walk. Almost all of our guests walk to join us, very few drive. And if they do, there's 4 or 5 people that pour out of the vehicle, from what I've seen lately. So I don't anticipate it. We'll be ready. We don't ask any questions when folks come in and get food.
I do have a very quick question. So if there was no ARPA funds, the ARPA funds were zero, as of right now, what would your plan be to sustain your guys' operating costs through June 2024? What would you be doing if there was no money?
Not a lot different than we're doing now. We would have to, we'd have to dig deep. We're gaining a little bit with our new program.
Mm-hmm.
We're hanging in there. It's not quite hand to mouth, but it was for a few months. But it's the community is responding, and again, it's the time, the getting some resources in to help us with our budgeting. All I can say is we dig, we keep trying.
Because I tend to agree with Councilor McCormick's concern, where there's a lot of services that you are all providing, and they're unbelievably important and much needed services. So where people are going to know about the services that you are providing. So it's going to be, you could be, overwhelmed with the needs of people. And if you are overwhelmed with the needs of people, resources tend to dry up and money goes away, and sometimes it can't be sustainable. Is that a concern that you guys have, or is that something that you guys can still?
I was a little concerned about a year ago.
Okay.
When we saw the bounce, the big bounce, and when our food costs hit, substantially increased. But as Carla mentioned, we've got a great group. We've seen more and more community involvement. We have folks coming in from different organizations just to help that couple hours of service. Today we had about 80 in the dining room, which is full for us. That's very full. We can get them through the line and seated in about 15 minutes. So that's, otherwise they get antsy. I mean, it's not a buffet, it's a serving line, but, well, this is the prime meal of the day, and,
Sure.
and they want to make sure they get their meals. I am not, at this point, concerned about the need for increased capacity. Do we plan for the worst? No, we plan for the best. We really do. It's our latest fundraising program is incredibly ambitious, to say the least, but it will run all year because we want to raise funds for all year. If we find another bounce, we're currently working with Good Shepherd, trying to get on another program of theirs that we hadn't qualified for, which might bring some of our food costs down. But the food itself is not a huge cost for us, relatively speaking, utilizing everything that we get from the community and from Good Shepherd and from the Winslow cupboard. We take advantage of everything we can get in there. We process some really ugly food. It's still good, it just isn't pretty.
No, I mean, Flavia, do you have any last comment?
Yeah, I do. In answering your question, I don't anticipate seeing, like, even if other communities were to come in and utilize our service, what I'm seeing is more partnerships. I'm seeing that they are taking a look at what Waterville is doing, what the soup kitchen is doing, and we are having a lot more partnerships. That's what I'm seeing. And the opera fund helped guide this process. The initiative funds that we gave out really helped guide this process to where we are today. And what I see what these funds will do will help bridge that gap to more funding coming in.
Go ahead.
The question that I have before we take this vote is focused on the positive outcome for the soup kitchen. Do we need more time as a council to consider this? Or is this something that we are prepared to vote on in the best interest of the soup kitchen tonight? That's what I'm sort of asking.
I mean, I made my position clear that I think we need more time to just figure out what we're doing with the remaining funds, and if we're gonna open up asking for more money to more community partners or not, and not just giving to the soup kitchen because they essentially got here first.
So was that a motion to table is what you're suggesting?
That is what I am suggesting, yes.
I just want to reword that. It's not the fact that they got here first. They are providing more services, direct service on the ground.
Right, but there are plenty of other community partners who are also providing direct services on the ground who are not. So unless we are saying as a council, we are prepared to hand out $50,000 to the next 16 community partners who ask for unrestricted operating funds, it's an equity thing. It's a making sure that we're doing our due diligence and doing this correctly. I don't think it hurts us to take a step back for 2 weeks. You are not gonna close if we wait 2 weeks to take this vote and figure out what we're doing with the remaining ARPA funds. So I would suggest that we wait 2 weeks and figure out what we're actually doing with these ARPA funds.
Yeah, but I just wanted to make clear that it's not that they were not like the first come, first served.
We've already had somebody come in here the second meeting of the season asking
was
for more
speaking-
gas money. I'm sorry, ma'am.
Thank you. So I do agree that we do need more time. I definitely agree to table this so we can actually get more time. And I would like to see at least a little bit more like representation at the soup kitchen to understand, or other direct services that are happening in Waterville. Let's research, let's go actually on the ground and see what they're doing, and actually bring back to analyze what is happening in Waterville and what is the need for Waterville.
All right, so we have
So
a
there was a
motion to
motion.
table in a second.
Second.
No, we already have the second. You're the third. Any more discussion at this point before we go to the table? Dean, thank you. Carla, thank you. Nancy, I will recognize you.
Nancy Sanford, Ward 1. And the amount of money that we're talking about is how much?
I believe-
50,000.
yeah, I believe it's 50,000.
I'm sorry?
50,000 was the
50,000.
ask from the soup
Okay.
kitchen.
I'm going to say the same thing that I did when the homeless shelter asked for, to
reallocate.
change the
Yeah.
restriction, is that I think that the Waterville Area Soup Kitchen is the best judge of how to use that money. And we're talking about people who otherwise are sometimes, a lot of times, not part of a community. And the soup kitchen has obviously done that extremely well and brings services to many people. And we're talking about human beings, which I know you all know, but these are our most vulnerable citizens, some of our most vulnerable citizens. And so I certainly, and although I understand and appreciate the thought of other, services in the community and organizations, I don't feel that this is an unreasonable amount of money to grant somebody, an organization that has done so much good.
So you are arguing that we not table and that vote on it tonight, is because that's what we're talking about?
Right.
You
Yeah.
want us to take the vote now, is what you're saying?
That would be my preference, but yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second to table this. Patty, can I get a vote on that?
Count,
Are
all
we-
those in favor of tabling?
Are we tabling until next,
Great, that's a great distinction, and I believe it was for 2 weeks, yes.
is it 2 weeks? So in
Yes.
2 weeks we'll take,
So to the
okay.
April 2nd meeting? No, March. April 3rd, yeah. No.
No.
19th.
2 weeks.
March 19th
Yes, thank you.
March 19th,
Sorry.
okay.
or 16th, next month.
Order on the
We do
mark.
have a meeting on April 3rd, but that's.
Yeah, no, that's true.
What
We were
day
looking
is
at
it?
something else.
Wait, the 6th plus 14, it's the 20th. Right. No, 1 day less, 19th.
Yeah.
So, as is often the case, I believe this is an order, right? So the other option is to take a first vote tonight and then continue the discussion. I think it's important that we do come up with a plan by the next meeting so that we can move forward and let the community know how we are using these funds to help our most vulnerable citizens, and both today and tomorrow, as it were.
Are we going to also ask the Waterville Soup Kitchen to, say for instance, like resubmit more of a detailed list of the things that they need the money spent on? Because I know it's unrestricted, the word unrestricted was used, and I just want to see if we want to have them provide us more detail of what they need.
Well, I think right now, let's do one thing, right? Like, so we have the table vote is on first before we have any more discussion.
Yeah, but that's
It's inconsequential if the vote is to table it. If you want to continue this conversation and the next steps, then we need to get through the hurdle of the table, which is on the vote now. So
Yeah, but it's a table or Counselor Green's.
Right, but, so now we have to vote on the table, and then, or we can go and take a first vote and the second vote. And then we can have that.
And if we took
continue
a
that
first
conversation.
vote and it passed, then that would be the shortest route to getting some sort of funds in their hands. But if in the intervening 2 weeks, the sense of the council is something other than the order, then that actually sets us back, because it would fail upon second, it would fail upon second vote, right?
Good point, yeah.
Yeah, and so
Good point.
we should only take the first vote. I like it, but we should only take that first vote if a counselor voting for that would be comfortable with the order as it sits, right?
Right.
Otherwise, we're setting them back, right?
We can
And so
make
actually
amendments.
tabling it, yeah, I guess that's right. I mean, how much?
At the second, I mean, that's the whole point of the two, is to, okay, we make the first vote, and then we have the discussion, and then there can be any amendments that are made at the second vote. It's not it doesn't have to be as written.
But don't those amendments also require a 2-week period? Didn't we just go
No.
through that with the amendments to our policies and procedures, where we had to do that
No.
in 2 separate 2-week periods?
That
No,
was-
because of the last piece we didn't vote on the first time.
Right. The public hearing was
Public hearing
required.
part, so we pulled that out of the first one, so.
And you can make motions for amendments at the second reading and pass them the same evening.
Well, that's a game changer.
I know.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess it is a little cleaner to table, but I'm certainly in favor of this request in some form, so. Shall
Okay,
we?
can we get a vote on the table?
Everybody's thought, and it's just we wave at Patty here.
We're taking a vote on the motion to table for 2
So,
weeks.
all in favor of tabling for 2 weeks? So it's Clepac, Finch, and McCormick. All those opposed? So the mayor breaks the tie.
Oh.
Woohoo! No, I don't know. It's not a woo. Like, listen, I mean, listen, I mean, Councilor Green is correct, and Councilor Fitch also, we really do need a process and a plan for, this money, and honestly, we probably should have had a plan in place, well before we reached this point. With that said, I think just in the effort of keeping things moving, then I am, again, no, to the table, and we'll just take the first vote tonight, because we can table next week too, if that's the decision. So
Okay.
just keep moving.
So now we're back on the floor with a motion to adopt.
Second. Oh, sorry, I move.
Oh, second.
Yep.
So
So,
are there amendments that we want to discuss now, or are we just going to play fast and loose and hope we all agree on amendments next week?
Do you have an amendment that you'd like to make? Certainly, we
Well, I know
can do that
Rebecca
now.
talked about, restricting up some of the funds. I'm just curious if she'd like to make that amendment.
I would. I'll move that 25,000 of the 50 would be unrestricted funds, and the other 25 would go towards capacity building for fundraising.
And we have a second.
Second.
Okay. All right. Any discussion? Does anybody have any questions as to what Rebecca has just proposed in this amendment?
So just be clear, is that for like research? To bring somebody in to help them? Okay. Do they have somebody right now? Okay.
I mean, 25K, that's going to
You gotta go.
part-time person.
I think, right, and I think how it gets spent is certainly up to the soup kitchen.
But I think that's a start. They can have somebody else match it for the other full-time.
Well, it would, yeah, and it would be great to, sorry, what was your comment?
No, because he said, Council Clepac said it's 25,000, so it would only get them a part-time. But I said, this is an opportunity to put it out there for somebody else to
Exactly.
partner up and match that up to a full-time employee.
Thank you for mentioning that, and this is a great time to call on the rest of the community to say, what can you do to help the soup kitchen? Can you match the city's funds?
Or alternatively, we have 25 other K that could, we could put 50K into hiring someone to write grants for the soup kitchen, right? That could then presumably support themselves through grant writing as well. I'm not suggesting that, but I'm just pointing that out.
Right, I mean, my motion would be, is the 50/50.
Yeah.
But I think this is, again, a great opportunity to leverage what Waterville, the city of Waterville, is putting in to supporting this organization, and have other organizations, businesses match that. So I'll be calling you in the next couple of weeks to ask.
Yeah, I mean, I think also the 25,000, not necessarily grants, because like Dean said, that's a small portion. So, I mean, I think the other 25,000, get somebody in to, really set up some, structured capital campaigns to raise money, versus, just simply looking for the unicorn grants that are out there for these types of things. I think, great if we can get somebody in that does do this type of work and raise money at a larger scale. I think this would be a great opportunity to try to invest in that resource to get them off the ground and then get the people, that are already there to kind of keep it moving, so. All right, so we have an amendment. We had a second. So do we want to take you have,
Yeah.
Sir?
I think before we go any further, we're going to do with this what we're doing tonight. Before we go any further with the other 750 that's left, we need to etch in stone what we're doing with it. We've been kicking this can for a little bit. We need to etch in stone where it's going, not have somebody else come in 2 weeks wanting to know why we handed the soup kitchen money, and now why won't we hand them money? That was the idea behind the table that I understood. We were going to stop, look at the bigger picture, determine what we were doing with everything, and then come back and take care of this issue. Instead, we're going to sit next meeting making amendments to amendments to amendments and still not know what we're going to do with the other 750.
To play off that, it does endorse the procedurality of this whole process, right? By taking a shadow vote here and then waiting to the second one, to Councilor Finch's, concern.
All right, vote on the amendment.
All in favor of the amendment? Gilly, DeBrito, and Klepak?
Yeah.
Council Green, are you in favor of your amendment? Thank you.
Sorry, my hand was behind
Okay, yeah.
the screen there.
Those opposed? So 4 in favor and 2 opposed, so let's move it as amended. Is there a motion to move it as amended?
Oh, yes, so moved.
I'll second.
Are we ready for a vote on the first reading?
Yes, ma'am.
All those in favor of the motion as amended? DeBrito, Klepak, Gilly, Green. Those opposed? Finch and McCormick, 4 in favor and 2 opposed.
Well, I hope we have our shit together in 2 weeks.
All right. And with that, I think we have reached the end. May I get a motion to adjourn? Anyone online? Good, we're good. Perfect.